And what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Michael Warbucks Show, where we talk pop culture news and other things that caught my attention. Our first story today has to deal with Ohio. 37-year-old Scott Smith walked into a movie theater and he was carrying a beige bag over his shoulder. Now, a theater manager did notice this bag and thought things were a little sketchy. So he went over to Scott and said, "Hey, what's in the bag?" Scott opened it up and said, "Look, it's just my medical supplies." Well, there was also an off-duty police officer working there as security, and he noticed the bag as well. So the off-duty police officer went over to the manager and said, "Hey, we should probably take a look at this bag." Both of them walked into the movie theater where Scott was, and he was sitting in the middle of the very back row. When they took a look inside the bag, they saw that Scott had some guns, had a bunch of knives, a knife on him, and a whole lot of ammunition. Now, the coincidence to this is that Scott was in the theater that was going to be showing The Dark Knight Rises. Now, before we get a little more into this story, I just want to let you know that Scott also has a medicine dependency, I guess you want to call it. So right there, he should not be allowed to own a gun. Now, Scott said, "Look, I will put these weapons back into my car." But obviously, the off-duty police officer said, "That's not going to happen." And unfortunately, Scott was arrested. Now, the reason I say unfortunately is because of one thing. Scott and his lawyer both state that, hey, with all the things that have been going on in the world right now and everything that's been happening with all the shootings, I was actually scared to go out. And this is why I have all this stuff on me to protect myself. Now, part of me says, you know what? Yes, this is a believable story. But the other part of me says, you should have just stayed at home. Now, Scott has been super cooperative. And then the police searched his home and they found he had more guns and ammunition there. And also, Scott was carrying these things without a concealed weapons license. So he could be facing a lot of charges. But to the theater manager and the off-duty officer, hey, congrats on picking up on this guy. Who knows, maybe halfway through the movie, if his medication, quit working, things could have got really drastic. I don't know. I'm kind of torn between this story, as you can tell. All right, guys, let me know what you think. Was Scott right or was Scott wrong to bring this stuff to the theater? Let me know. All right, moving on to some quick updates from the Sikh temple shooting. And it's been announced today by the FBI that the gunman, I'm not going to mention his name, took his own life. It was a wound to the head, so he was not shot by an officer. So as more little details come out, I will try to keep you up to date as much as I can. All right, guys, for once, can we move on to some fun news for the day? And hopefully by the time I'm recording this, there will be a Hump Day Gallery up for you. And if there isn't, you're just going to see my face saying, "Wow, look at this girl. She is hot." And if there is one, then you're going to get the, "Hey, wow, see, this is why you need to go and check out today's Hump Day Gallery because it is Wednesday." I'm really hoping there's a Hump Day Gallery or this is just going to be very awkward. Next up in some movie news, hey, how many of you saw the Avengers? And how many of you loved the Avengers? And how many of you wanted Joss Whedon to come back and direct Avengers 2? Well, it's happening. Joss Whedon has signed on and he said, "Look, I really didn't want to do it at first because there's a lot of pressure on a person to have to tell somebody else's story." But he goes on to say, "You know what? I got a lot of great, cool ideas, and I cannot wait for this to happen." Even though we won't be seeing the Avengers 2 till at least 2015 now, that'll give me plenty of time to wait for the Blu-ray to come out and then buy it and then watch it. I'm such a horrible movie fan. It's unreal. And in more movie news, a second trailer for This Is 40 has showed up online today. Let's take a quick look.
It's the fourth time you've gone to the bathroom today. Why is your instinct to escape?
It is my instinct to come into the bathroom when I need to go to the bathroom.
How come I don't smell anything?
It's because I shoved an Altoid up my ass before I came in here. Don't press enter. I'm not sure I want to make that move.
This movie will be starring Paul Rudd and Leslie Mann. And they're saying that this is kind of like the sequel to Knocked Up. So if you were a huge fan of the Knocked Up movie, this might be something for you to watch. I'm still kind of on the fence with it. And for our final story of the day, let's talk about Redditor RegBarc. He posted up a letter on Reddit about how 5 years ago his father, quote, disowned him because he came out to his dad. Now, the horrible letter that his dad wrote goes a little something like this. "This is a difficult but necessary letter to write. I hope your telephone call was not to receive my blessing for the degrading of your lifestyle. I have fond memories of our times together, but that is all in the past. Don't expect any further conversations with me. No communications at all. I will not come to visit, nor do I want you in my house. You've made your choice, though wrong it may be. God did not intend for this unnatural lifestyle. If you choose not to attend my funeral, my friends and family will understand. Have a good birthday and a good life. No present exchanges will be accepted. Goodbye, dad. This is just uncalled for. You're supposed to support your kid, whether you agree with their life decisions or not. But luckily, the Redditor has said, you know what? It's pretty much comes down to F you, Dad. He has moved on, and even though he says that he thinks about this letter every now and again, it doesn't bother him anymore. So to this father, I hope you are ashamed of yourself. He's still your son. He's still your blood. You should not try to push your son out of your life. That's just messed up and wrong. I hope you realize one day that you made the wrong decision, and hopefully you and your son can start a relationship again. All right, guys, that's going to be today's show. Don't forget to leave a comment or a video response on the question of the day, which is, do you think this father was wrong for, quote, disowning his son, or do you think his son should try to, kind of patch things up between the two? Let me know. Also, don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to share it. Don't forget to put it in your favorites. And if you are new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe. And you guys have a great day. Stay awesome. And I will see you back here tomorrow. We'll see you then, guys.